winning in the competitive business world is all about staying alert and ready on the points that truly matter. And here in BISNOMICS, in your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes, that's exactly what we make you pay attention to. I'm Tharandu. Our today's focus will be on a very important topic, a slight twist to the usual business topics we discuss, which is about men's health. Well, November is the month for Movember, a movement that made the world pay attention to the common health issues that men face, especially professional men who are working, who are immersed in their careers, in their business activities, and sometimes might be neglecting their health issues. Are you one of them? If so, today we will help you to pay attention to some of those vital health checklists, certain things you need to be aware on maintaining a healthy life. After all, in the words of the learned one, Arogya Paramalabha, good health is the best wealth and the best profit that one could truly have. And joining me today for this discussion is the current regional chair of the WONCA Young Doctors Movement for South Asia, as well as a family physician who is no stranger to BISNOMICS. In fact, this is his second appearance. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Sankha Randenikumara. Dr. Sankha, welcome to BISNOMICS. Absolute pleasure to have you back again.
Pleasure too.
First of all, thank you so much to you and the other medical professionals of this country for doing their best to keep Sri Lanka safe despite the challenging times. Doctor, now today we are focusing on a bit of a different topic, men's health. So let me start with the very first question. What are the most common men's health related issues that we see in Sri Lanka, especially among the working community?
Right. When you take the working community, Tharindu, it's more or less about young people. Okay, you will be young at your heart until you die. That's a different thing. But working community means probably at least up to 60 years of age.
From, say, 20s? Or?
From 20s probably,
okay.
Yeah. After 18 sometimes.
After 18, yes.
Who knows? But still, so this is young, fairly young, relatively young age group.
Thank you for confirming that I am still young.
Of course. Why not? So am I. Okay, so let's just move to the question. So it's about the men's health related issues probably we encounter in this working community. So as the first one, I would like to tell this about non-communicable diseases. More or less what we encounter, what we see in the community is non-communicable diseases. You know what they are, like diabetes, hypertension, that is high blood pressure, and also dyslipidemias, high cholesterol levels, different cholesterols, not only cholesterol but could be some other types of cholesterol as well. So that is one. Then I would like to say about the stress. It's also an issue.
Yes.
It's not just would be a symptom only, but it's an issue.
And we tend to sometimes sweep this under the carpet, isn't it? We always especially in Sri Lanka, I mean, people, now we see a trend where people are openly talking about, but Doctor, a few years back, if somebody says, I'm having stress, they'll be like, it's just in your mind, get over it. But it's not that simple.
Yeah. Stress would be there always. I mean, each day we tend to be stressed in several moments. But if it's always there, it will become a disease or an illness.
Correct.
So
which can lead to depression
and
so on.
Depression, yes. And the other mental disorders as well.
Correct.
So
it's important where you are saying not only physical diseases, but also the mental diseases also need to be considered here.
Exactly. So even NCDs would, when the term NCDs,
non-communicable diseases,
non-communicable diseases would encompass this as well. I mean, the stress and the mental disorders as well, because these are not communicable, but it will be there in the community, in a person.
Correct.
Then if you take the accidents, this would be workplace accidents, would be road traffic accidents. All these are also, very common. Work-related and even society-related, road-related accidents.
Correct.
So people, the young people who are the people who always move from here to there, and stress and everything would contribute to this. And mainly these three things I would say, but then I would like to also mention about the sexual health related issues like erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation. These things are also problems among men. We see not as usual as the other NCDs, but
Yes.
they are there.
And doctor, it's interesting that you mentioned this because we do have a bit of a taboo culture where even among men, sometimes talking about these issues is not very common. Whereas, especially in the western part of the world, we see people are open to talk about it. They are open to go and see a doctor about it. But in Sri Lanka, that tendency, I should not be talking about these very personal issues, that mentality has to go away, isn't it?
Exactly. Another reason for that probably is, as you told, the taboo. The society have that, that is the one reason. But the other thing is all about the privacy and the confidentiality that is preserving in the, say, even the medical setup. If you go to an OPD of a government hospital or even a private hospital, sometimes the next patient is standing
Correct.
very close by, right, in the queue.
Or they have that curtain with the next...
Only a curtain. So you can't anyway talk about your personal issues there. Not only this sexual issue, even a personal issue in their mind. You know?
Correct.
So that's the thing. So these things mainly, but I would also mention about these eye problems like presbyopia. We called hatalis chandiri.
Okay, yes.
After 40 plus. So that is another problem. But
that's where the focus gets adjusted.
Exactly, the lens becomes distorted due to the age, this age related, and this easily correctable with specs and all. Yeah, these things. So I would mainly would say about NCDs, stress, sexual health related diseases, and accidents and so on.
So doctor, we now know what are the most common issues. So as a doctor, what would your advice be to especially the working men? Because let's not, it's not to discriminate, but we did do justice in the International Women's Day by having a separate episode dedicated to three wonderful ladies of whom the presence we had in the show. So today's episode we are dedicated to men. Being the month of November, and the month where men's health is the focal point of discussion. We know the issues now. Now, what would your advice be in terms of some regular medical checks to get done? Because we see a lot of people, they put the blame on heavy workload and they tend to be neglecting, especially men, they tend to be neglecting their health, which we hope after today's episode with the focus of the audience being sent to that, we will be able to change at least in some way. What are the regular medical checkups that you see that men, the working men especially, needs to get done?
Yeah, what you told is really correct. I mean, the men, when you take men, that is the group that is least concerned about their health. When you take a doctor, if you ask from a doctor about the health concerns of men and women, definitely it's the least concerned people are men, not women. They would come definitely with their children, their grandparents, etc. So when you talk about medical checkups, this is a different topic.
Yes.
And would be now what I'm going to tell would be not the usual answer.
And that's what we want and that's what we expect. Beyond the ordinary insight is what we prefer. So go ahead.
So what I am telling is, probably people believe that you need to do different checkups, I mean different investigations, lot of investigations. You have to probably go for thousands of rupees, right, for these investigations. But I would suggest...
I believe these days the bills are around tens of thousands.
Of course. Yes, tens of thousands, probably. Yes. But they have this, you know, most of the hospitals, say private hospitals, they have packages.
Yes.
Medical checkup or health checkup packages.
Packages, yes.
Which
encompasses so many different tests. And the price is obvious. And you can add some more tests, you know, depending on your So that's why I think your insight on what they need to do will be very vital. Go ahead, doctor.
So if you just say a person who's never known to have a disease, so I would recommend just do your blood sugars, cholesterol levels, right? And go to a doctor and get your pressure checked, blood pressure checked, and check your BMI. You know BMI,
Body mass index.
body mass index, which is the easy way of calculation is dividing the weight in kilograms. You have to take the weight in kilograms and divide it by height in meters. So it will be like 1 point something.
Yes.
The square of that.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So you will get some sort of a value starting from say 18 to 30 or would go up to 40s, right?
Yeah.
Two digit value. So this is the, then you have to take some advice. So this is all I recommend for normal person
Okay.
who never knows that he or she
There's never a history of
Exactly.
disease.
no history of a disease. So it's again blood sugar,
Yes.
lipids, that's cholesterol,
Yes.
pressure and BMI.
BMI. Understood.
But if you have family history of something,
Yes.
say a cancer, or say you have family history of diabetes. Now I asked you to do it once a year,
Yes.
but if you have a family history, probably you can even do once in 6 months' time.
Okay.
But cancers, of course, there's no need to do it regularly.
Yes.
There are some certain tests, distinct tests to be done. So you can do them. You have to go and take some advice from your doctor,
The family doctor.
family
maybe.
doctor.
Yes.
That's the easiest way, right? And you can do that tests.
Understood.
So this is the advice. There's no need to do all the tests. Sometimes
Yes.
people are covering the everything. I mean, why there is no need to do a test for kidney functions if there's no sign or symptom of kidney issue or no family history of kidney issue.
Understood.
But if you have a family history of chronic kidney disease, you can do a kidney function test
Yes.
once a year. That's fine.
Doctor, now I believe the eating habits also play a major role, and a lot of the male professionals, while they get busy with the proper workload on a daily basis, they might skip meals, they might not, they might just go for a easier, faster alternative for food without having a proper balanced meal. So how crucial is good eating habits to the healthy lifestyle of men, and what are your recommendations, especially for the men who are very busy and tight for time to have a proper meal? What is your recommendation, and what mistakes should they avoid when going for a meal option?
How crucial a meal is. You are what you eat. That's a that idiom that is
Correct.
all over the world. So eating habits are imperative and crucial in maintaining your health. There's no argument about that, I'm sure. No one will argue about that, but we don't follow most probably.
That's a problem.
So the mistakes if you take, one of the main mistakes, especially Sri Lankans or the South Asians have is eating lot of starch. We
love our rice.
exactly, that's that. The rice is like, you have a heap of rice
Yes.
with very small amount of vegetables, proteins and etc. Green leaves and all. So that's a mistake. So what you have to do is you have to have a small amount of rice or whatever the starch food could be, noodles, could be string hoppers or whatever, small amount, and lot of vegetables, green leaves, proteins like fish, meat, eggs, and so on, and pulses. So this is the most important. So that's a mistake. The other thing is having sugary things, sweet meats, also bakery foods. Shumpang is a very
Yes.
novel concept, but
Not the
many
most
are
healthiest.
not the healthiest, of course. So that's one of the issues. Then the fast food, with as you told, this fast moving world.
Convenient lifestyle.
Convenient lifestyle. The fast food is something we also, when we want to have something, that's the option you are going
Correct.
into. So, but always it has problem because it has fat, it has starch, easily breaking into sugars, and fat is always the sugar and fat These things are things that deposit in your body and probably lead into the diseases. So, so oil and fat, sugar and starch, and another mistake probably I would say, that is salt. Salty food is available everywhere, like it's in different ways, probably these bites and so on. And even sometimes in Sri Lanka there is a tendency of putting salt into rice as well.
Yes.
You have in the curries as well, also in the rice. So, what is one of the very important advices that is given is not to use
too much
salt and not to put salt into rice, because it's always already there in curries. And something very important is how to eat when you are attending a function, some event. Because most of the time, if you take some of us, every day we have functions.
Yes, and every day becomes a cheat day then.
Exactly. So, every day you are cheating, right? So, the best thing would be don't sort of go away from your usual pattern of healthy eating when there is a function. The best thing is just maintain that.
Correct.
If I just advise you, just have a soup, right? Have some more salad, and don't take any starchy food.
Okay.
Try to avoid or just take a small amount of that, say noodles or rice or whatever.
Can I just go past in the dessert corner?
You mean?
Can I go past in the dessert corner, the sweets corner? Can I just go nearby? No, better not.
No. You can do it, but the problem is the amount.
Quantity.
Right? The quantity is a main problem, because you will have this and that and the other thing as well. So, best thing is just take a small amount.
Yes.
From each, but to a small,
so, enjoy it, but within the limits.
Within the limits.
Understood.
And the last thing is, I told about the starch, but take more and more salads, vegetables, and eat fish and, meats and all. That's fine.
Yes.
That's fine. But try to avoid some oily forms.
Yes.
Better to get more sort of, healthy. So, you can do it.
Yes. Interesting. Very interesting thoughts there, Doctor. We are going to come back to you on more information on that. Stay tuned. We will be back after this short break. This is BISNOMICS. Welcome back to BISNOMICS, and today's special episode is dedicated towards discussing about men's health. If you are a man, or if you are a man who is working and deciding how can I balance my health and my workload, this episode will be definitely insightful. And our guest for this segment is none other than Dr. Sankha Randenikumara. Dr. Sankha, now a lot of research around the world shows that prostate-related illnesses has been one of the leading causes for the death of many young men around the world. Your thoughts on this? Prostate-related illnesses, is this something that men should worry about? And what are the most common prostate-related diseases that we see? And any change of lifestyle that we could have so that we can reduce the risk of these prostate-related illnesses? Share your advice with us.
Okay, I would say prostate-related issues are not that sort of a health concern, even though this is because you are asking this question because there are concerns.
Yes.
But the reality is, I think it's better to talk about or say think about your health related to blood pressure, diabetes, etc., than prostate-related things.
But those are higher risks.
Higher risks.
Okay.
Higher risks, and they are pretty, prevalent, not like prostate-related things. But as you asked, we can, of course, tell about that.
Yes.
Prostate-related things. One is, there are few things. For an example, the most common thing would be the swelling of the prostate gland, which is known as BPH, benign, not cancerous, benign prostatic hyperplasia. So, it's prostate related again, but this is mostly seen after 50 years of age.
Okay.
Mostly 50, probably later on. It is told that most of the old men would have this definitely, right? But this is an innocent condition. The problem is, your urinary flow would be affected by this. Okay, so you have to strain to urinate. So that's a problem. definitely. So, it'll come later on, but if there's some sort of a problem in flow, you should consider probably this could be a prostate related thing, but you can always ask your family doctor, and we can ask a few questions and probably see whether this is the same or not.
Yeah.
Then prostatic carcinoma or cancers, prostatic cancers are there, but not very prevalent. I mean, when you take Sri Lanka, the mostly prevalent cancer is breast cancer, but that's in women.
Yes.
Then the most fatal cancer in Sri Lanka is oral cancers related to mouth. This because of betel chewing and smoking plus alcohol usage. So prostate cancer is very not that significant, but if there is a family history of prostate related disorders or cancer, of course you can check for that. There is a test called PSA, which is not very significant test. It could be high even in BPH, it could be high even in prostatitis. There is inflammation of prostate gland, which is not a big thing, it's just because of a germ. But it could also be high due to prostate cancers.
Okay.
But there's no need to do PSA or
Without any symptoms or anything.
any symptoms or without any indication.
Yes. What are the possible symptoms that someone who is having any sort of prostate related issue be facing?
Okay, issues in the sense, one would be this urinary flow.
Yes, where you have to strain, where it's difficult.
Exactly. So that would be the main or the cardinal symptom. But there could be other things as well, like you would see some blood in your urine.
Okay.
Right, things like that. But if you have a family history, what I'm telling is, if you have any urinary symptoms, or because these things could be sometimes connected.
Yes.
So you can always meet your doctor and inquire. Don't just go and ask the lab to do a PSA or a scan or whatever. Always, you can, if you have a family history, you can ask your doctor, consult your doctor, and then you can get done some other tests as well. Not only this test, because this is not a very significant or a unique test for a cancer. So mainly these are the things. Prostatitis, I was telling about, is also a prostate related thing. It is like the germ is bacteria, would be most probably would be entering the prostate gland through the urinary tract.
Understood.
So if there is a urinary tract infection, that could be a risk factor for prostatitis.
Okay. So any suggestions on how to have a lifestyle that reduces the risk of?
Okay, it's told that smoking has some effect
Impact.
on or say influence on prostate related cancers.
Yes.
So avoiding smoking, we always say. There's no, of course, dilemma about that as well.
Yes.
Not like alcohol, right? Because smoking should anyway. We
Yes.
always ask. There's no conflict of interest also most of the time.
Yes.
So we always tell not to smoke. So that is one thing, and drink plenty of water. That's it. I don't think that. But your urinary, say genitourinary health is important.
Right.
Cleaning your genital area,
Yes.
because that is important. Sometimes that would be a reason for this prostatitis or the
Understood.
things, unnecessary issues. But cancer has no other special reasons. Probably family history, smoking would be the main relations to the cancer.
Doctor, let's talk about diabetes. Now Singapore, few years back, named diabetes as one of the national threats. Now, in those countries, you see sometimes the leadership of the country taking things at that level, with a lot of high level of seriousness. How bad is the diabetes situation among the working professionals in Sri Lanka, and what is your advice to them in terms of a lifestyle that can help to reduce the risk of diabetes?
Okay. What do you think, Tharindu, if 1 in every 10 has diabetes, would it be a national threat or not?
I think so.
Yes. So in Sri Lanka also, 10% of people have diabetes.
It is a high percentage.
It is a high percentage, right? Then when you take Colombo urban people, about 27%, which is about 30%,
Yes.
closer to 30%,
Almost 1/3.
have diabetes. And Colombo suburb, it's like 20%. right? So, which means urbanization has some
Impact.
relationship with the diabetes, because probably stress, food pattern,
Correct.
etc. Right? So, it's a national threat, of course. So, that's the usual prevalence of that. The other question is,
What can we do to
Of course.
avoid, reduce?
Yes.
What can we do? What are the lifestyle changes we need?
right, when you take diabetes, I always say that diabetes is probably the most dangerous disease I would think of, not cancers, because even a cancer, if you identify that cancer early, that can be cured. No argument about that. Most of the cancers, right? But diabetes is not like that. You have to get treatment forever if you are a diabetic. So, first is always, as we told, prevention is better than cure. So, try not to get it first. So, the lifestyle is most important thing. Lifestyle has 4 major components, that is food,
Yes.
then exercises, or the active lifestyle. We will say not exercise, always active lifestyle. Then
Especially if they have like a sedentary work life, they are seated and doing work, that's also dangerous.
That's dangerous. Food, lifestyle, active lifestyle or exercises,
Yes.
then stress. All these 3 factors are important in preventing diabetes. As we told, having food less starch, less sugar,
Yes.
and more fibrous and fibrous diet like vegetables, green leaves, and even protein. That's very important. The food plate I was talking about, right? Only a small amount, or 1/4 of that, quarter of the food plate should be starch related things. Rest should be green leaves, vegetables, and protein related
Yes.
food. So, that is prevention. And exercises. So, what are the exercises? I mean, it's not exercises means not always going to the gym
Yes.
and doing things, but simple exercises like jogging for 30 minutes
A day.
a day. 30 minutes a day, 5 days would be enough. But if you don't have time, at least 15 minutes a day, at least a minute reservation of time for your exercises is very important, or 20 minutes for 7 days.
Okay.
This should be aerobics, right?
Yeah.
The things like jogging, cycling, doing some gardening, etc.
Basic cardio activities.
Exactly. So, not weightlifting. There's no need to do weightlifting to prevent
Diabetes.
from
But keep your heart active.
Exactly.
Understood. Doctor, let's also talk about the connection between stress, cholesterol, and the loss of testosterone, because we see without people really realizing this, even among men, we see, especially when they get to their late 30s, 40s, we see the level of energy dropping. We see that and they say it's related to sometimes the loss of testosterone and various such issues. What is this deadly triangle, stress, cholesterol, and loss of testosterone? What's the real, some say it's like the Bermuda Triangle of men's health. Your thoughts?
Okay. Stress would always increase cholesterol levels, and stress will always decrease testosterone levels in a man. So definitely there's a relationship. Not only that, if you have high cholesterol levels, there's a tendency of having more female hormones in your body. Right?
Understood.
Fat is probably converted into more female hormones. So that will also have a negative feedback, and then that will also lead to a low testosterone level.
Understood.
So now it's very obvious. The connection is obvious. So high cholesterol will give rise to low testosterone, and also high stress would give rise to both high cholesterol and low testosterone levels.
As a family physician, because you're also responsible for the health of the entire family, what is your advice to working men in terms of keeping their overall stress levels low? I mean, the truth is there's always stress at work, doctor.
Yes.
So when you come back home, how do you really keep that stress levels low?
Okay, now stress is always, as you told, stress is there. Stress actually keeps us going.
Yeah.
So That's the truth.
They say there are two types of stress, the distress and the eustress. The
Yes.
eustress is the good stress and
Good
the
stress.
distress is the bad
So
stress.
good stress is important us
Correct.
to, we have a hope,
Yeah, we have a
we have a
target, we have a
target.
goal.
we have a goal, so we go there. So that's important. But doesn't mean you have to be stressed and depressed and stay for something. So for an example, if you are stress doesn't mean that if you take things positively and always think and look at things positively, that is the most important thing. Stress doesn't mean that you have to smile and
Yes.
stay always. Don't ever be in a negative attitude when you're at your workplace. Just smile, laugh, crack a joke.
Yes.
Right? So don't make the workplace a hell.
Yes.
Right? It should be a very friendly place.
Interesting place.
Then when you go back to your home, then you have to probably spend your life or that time with your family or your loved ones.
Don't take the troubles of the workplace to the home and home troubles to the workplace.
But you can always relate these things to your probably loved ones. Say,
Yes.
Right? Or you can tell these things happen. So that will also a stress reliever. Telling your stories,
Yes.
telling your stressful moments, sharing it.
Yes.
So that will reduce your stress.
Understood.
But don't take and think and go into those things in your home.
Yeah.
But you can always discuss,
Yes.
share, but always try to be sort of stress free
Yes.
and have some leisure time activities.
Doctor, on a final note from you, this fatty liver. Now, this is a very common problem among a lot of men. Let me put this correctly. Both alcoholic and non-alcoholic fatty liver.
Yeah.
Is this a growing trend we see? Because we see today that level 2, level 3 fatty liver is becoming very common among working men, especially in the urban areas. Your thoughts on this, and how should especially the working men look after themselves to avoid or have this situation under control?
So when you see level 2 or 3, type 2 or 3 fatty liver, most probably it is associated with high cholesterol levels. But even without high cholesterol, there could be. But this is most of the time has a relationship with the sedentary lifestyle, stress and things you eat. So I think there's nothing to worry much if you have only this fatty liver. This will be mostly recognized by a scan, ultrasound scan. You will be doing an ultrasound scan for something else,
Yes, and
but you will end up with a report with a fatty liver type 1 or 2 or 3.
Yes.
2 or 3 would be, say 3 would be something
Serious.
not serious, but say this will have some connection to cirrhosis as well later, hepatitis, cirrhosis later on.
Understood.
As you told, non-alcoholic hepatitis is there.
Okay.
So the main thing is if you have only a type 1 fatty liver, don't worry at all.
Okay.
Just if all the other parameters are okay, that's fine. But just be active,
Yes.
do some exercises, eat less sugar, starch and fat. So that would be the probably the only advices that is needed. Don't worry much. Sometimes people just relate or perceive things.
Correct.
This fatty liver is related to my abdominal pain, etc.
They tend to assume things.
Yes, but that's not the truth.
Understood. Dr. Sankha, thank you so much for joining us once again and sharing your valuable advice and opinion with the members who join this show on a regular basis. I'm quite sure that especially the men who watch this show would have found your advice to be quite useful indeed. Thank you so much and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Tarindu.
And coming up on the other side of this short break is a sports and fitness coach sharing his secrets for men. Stay tuned. We will be back after this short break. This is BISNOMICS. Welcome back to BISNOMICS, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. In this special episode dedicated towards discussing about men's health in the month of November, which is indeed the month dedicated to discuss about health issues related to men, in our special episode, our next guest is someone whom you might probably never have missed. If you're a cricket fan, you might remember those 2 sixers against Brett Lee in the 2009 World Cup T20. He is currently the cricket coach of Royal College, former national cricketer, and also he is an international cricket commentator. Ladies and gentlemen, the next guest of today's episode is none other than Jehan Mubarak. Jehan, Absolute pleasure to welcome you to BISNOMICS.
Thank you, Tarindu. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that very kind introduction.
Well, I do remember those 2 sixes, Jehan. Jehan, now you are a fitness coach, you work with a lot of young people, and tell us from your advice, especially for young working men, what is your advice for them for keeping their fitness levels high? Because we hear the raving complaint most of the time that we start the day with a lot of energy in the morning, but towards the afternoon time, the after lunch time, then evening time, they are drained out, simply drained out. Your advice for keeping the fitness levels high?
Well, firstly, Tarindu, we have to see the mental part and the physical part as one. A lot of times, even when we are in school, we do sports as a physical component, we do our academics as a mental component. But actually, the two are linked. And the older we get, we can work the mental component of it, keep ourselves mentally sharp, and we neglect the physical side of it a lot. And while we are mentally sharp and we are okay, as we grow older, our bodies deteriorate, the muscle quality deteriorates, and it's very difficult to regain that. So it's very important that when you're young, you're fit and you're healthy, and you can work out, that you do that. And a lot of times we get very lazy with our lifestyles, our eating habits, our sleeping habits, our exercising habits, especially after we leave school. While we're in school, there are enough people who will push us into various activities.
At least that once a week PT session is there.
At least the once a week PT session, one bump in the class, softball somewhere, or tap rugger with a coconut. But all those things stop soon after you leave school. And we need to get into some kind of routine, physical routine, once we leave school, and you get into some go into studies at university, some go into jobs, or even if you're just at home. And that, for me, number one is, if you have stairs at home, take the stairs. If you have stairs at work, take the stairs. Don't sit down for long periods. Don't lie down on the bed with your laptop on your with your neck like that. Use of mobile phones, your posture goes with it. You're just like this with a very bad posture.
Correct.
And you don't realize it. You get small ailments which are very difficult to recover from. So it's important that in your day-to-day life, that there is some physical component that you bring into it.
Correct. And Jehan, now I remember as a young professional, I started working when I was about 20 plus. Now, even during that time, at least twice a week or thrice a week, we had a bunch of neighborhood guys getting together, playing cricket. There used to be some physical activity. Well, I did play the wicket keeper, that had a little bit of less physical running around, but still, the modern generation, especially young professionals, the ones who are in their early 20s, even the late 20s and so on, we see that their form of sports is now mostly limited to their mobile phone or the laptop. Do you see this having a long-term impact in the health of young professionals?
It does, and I think that has been studied and documented, the effect that virtual games have on the development of not only children, of young adults as well, and on their mental health. So that's an important element. So if you can, not if you can, actually, I think we should try and control or restrict the use of mobile phones or virtual interaction from a young age itself, and get used to getting stimuli from outside, from the physical environment, which we are not used to. The physical activity, it's like anything, like it's going to a gym or starting running. That there is a inertia to start something new. So for a young adult, getting up in the morning at 5 and going for a jog, initially for the first week or two is going to be really tough. But once you get over that, it's actually very enjoyable. And there are people, they talk about a runner's high. The same high that you get by playing a video game and winning or losing or whatever, you can get that same high through physical activities. That is why a lot of athletes, once you can get hooked on sports, you can get hooked on running, and those are good things to get hooked on.
Good addictions.
Good addictions that you can
have.
have.
And the famous 21-day rule, that any new habit, any new addiction like that takes 21 days.
Especially if you're not new to it. And the younger generation, for the older generation, they have come from a pre-digital era. So they know what it was like to live without mobile phones, without smart TVs. But the younger generation, they don't know that. So that needs to be shown to them, and sometimes they need to be pushed into it. So I would strongly recommend that everyone take up some kind of physical activity to get their physical levels up, which will then help their mental levels.
Jehan, now talking about keeping the fitness levels high, I think as a coach now, you, for your the students, the team you coach, I'm sure you have a routine. You know, there are certain drills they go through on certain days and so on. Now, what is your advice for young men, or I would say especially the working men, on what kind of a routine can they have to keep their fitness levels high? Any suggested routine from your end, from a physical perspective?
Well, firstly,
you seem to be staying pretty fit, and I believe John T. Rhodes did recognize you as one of the fittest and the best in the field.
no, I'm fit because the kids at Royal College keep me running around. They are very high maintenance, so I need to keep myself fit to keep them on track. But it's important that you have a routine, and that starts with the time you wake up. It's important that we wake up at a particular time. 6 in the morning is I mean, I know there are boys who get up they have breakfast at 10:30 or 11, and that completely messes up your diet plan. So have a routine of waking up at 6, even if you don't have anything to do for the rest. And this happened a lot during COVID. A lot of the school boys had no school, had online classes. They were sleeping late till about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the night, getting up at 11 o'clock in the morning, and a very, very poor routine which affected their nutrition, their diet plan, their development, everything. So waking up is very important. Some breathing exercises when you wake up in the morning, stretching.
Any breathing exercises that you would suggest?
We do this 8-count breathing where you...
Can you share that with us, Jehan?
So breathe in on a count of 8.
Okay.
So you can do it with me if you want.
All right, let's do that.
Right? So on a count of 8, you breathe in from your nose.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, and breathe in. And then hold for another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then exhale also on a count of 8. So you start that. You can change it from 6 to 8. It doesn't really matter what the count is. Hold it, breathe in, hold, and then so you get conscious of your breathing.
Correct.
And then breathing becomes a conscious thing. You become conscious of your diaphragm moving up, become conscious of the air entering your nostrils, entering your lungs, and it improves the blood circulation. And that's a good way to start off your day. Some stretchers. It's good to go out and get some sunlight, natural sunlight. Otherwise, you see the sun only at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Morning sun is very important for your vitamin D, which also is important in tackling COVID. You don't need to take additional supplementation if you get your natural vitamin inputs. So that morning sunlight is very important. Have breakfast, a good meal to start off the day. Fruits, cereal, yogurt, that's a good combination. Our Sri Lankan breakfasts are also good. The Sri Lankan food in general is good. Ratu bhat, red raw rice is good. Manyoka, kaupi, mung atta, kadala. Our traditional Sri Lankan foods are very nutritious, but we have moved away from that for sake of convenience.
Yes.
And that has a long-term effect. So your diet plan, have your lunch on time, and that routine of when you come home, don't just lie down on the bed, don't just sit. If you do come home with your shopping, take the stairs with your shopping bag, because a lot of people maybe don't have time to go to the gym. Take your shopping out of the car, walk up the stairs with your shopping bags. That's a really good exercise for your lower body.
Understood. Jehan, on a final note, mental fitness. I believe as a coach, you also do stress on these for your team that you coach, and also because it's young millennials whom you are coaching. It's very young, 18 to 20, 18, 19, 20-year-old boys that you are working with here. Now, as a sports coach, how do you get these team members of yours to manage their stress levels? Because as you know, small as they may be, maybe there are not many professional responsibilities on them, etc. Still, they are going through stress as well. Especially for young millennial boys or young millennial men, what is your advice on managing stress?
To explore the environment, not through the mobile phone. Mobile phone is one. So for me, it was I needed to get into their environment. It meant that I had to spend more time on social media to find out what their likes and dislikes were, what their interest was. But what you said, Tarindu, was very correct, that they are going through a lot of stress. They have had to prepare for O-levels thrice. They have to study for O-levels, get getting pushed back. A-levels kept getting pushed back. And it's not easy. You bring yourself up mentally to study for a particular event. And we saw this with the Olympics as well. When the Olympics got pushed back, a lot of people were not able to hit that physical peak.
But they were not at the mental peak.
They were not at the mental peak, and actually some people withdrew from the Olympics because that you can't sustain that mental peak for more than a month, and they had to sustain it for 10 months or 12 months, which was very difficult. So we need activities during that period to switch off from that. Virtually, there are things that you can do. The phone, I must also say, Tarindu, that virtually there are a lot of tools which are useful. Rather than video games, you can use that as a tool to get information about the world, about your field that you're in,
Yes.
grow your knowledge, and cricket especially. To me, cricket is 80% mental. 20% of it is tactical and physical. And we spend a lot of time on those components, but we don't spend enough time on the mental component. So to keep your mental agility, your mental fitness, your mental resilience, that can almost be an overnight switch. To be sharp, to be hungry, to go out there, to want to perform, to want to be the best that you can be, that you can engage them even in a virtual environment, take them out of that virtual environment, immerse yourself in that environment that is around you, and you can learn so much. And don't put barriers on what you are capable of. Don't let other people tell you this is what you should be, this is what you can be. You draw your own boundaries or not have boundaries at all.
Jehan Mubarak, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing those very valuable thoughts. Wishing you and the team all the best for the future. And once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Tarindu.
We hope today's episode was indeed useful, especially for the working men, on how to live a healthy lifestyle and a lifestyle where they are physically and mentally fit. I'm Tharindu Amarasekara, and I will see you with the next episode. No matter what business you may be in, have a profitable week ahead.